Good evening. So tonight we will discuss Nectar of Instruction, and the topic of the particular talk will be is criticism in Krishna consciousness necessary or needed. So just give me a second here. Trying to find the text for some reason. Okay, there it is. All right, got it. All right. So I'll just say the Sanskrit and then I'll read the English translation. So it's Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranitibishcha bhajantam isham shushushaya bhajana vigyamananya anya nindadi shunya hridam ipshita sangalabdya. So that the translation is, one should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and is engaged in worshiping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way, according to their particular status. In this verse, he tells us how to deal with three types of devotees: the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. One should respect such a person within his mind as a Kanishta Vaishnav. A Madhyama Adhikari has received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Madhyama Adhikari should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. The Uttama Adhikari, or highest devotee, is one who is very advanced in devotional service. An Uttama Adhikari is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean, and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavat, or perfect Vaishnav, are most desirable. Okay, so the purport goes on, but I'll just stop there. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karitavachalam Pangal Mangai Tegirim Yakipatamham Vande Shri Gurundinithananam Vancha Kaptribishcha Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this particular verse, it's describing different types of devotees, and specifically, a lot of the times when this verse is read, people focus on this aspect of the description of Uttama Adhikari, the topmost devotee, as being one who doesn't criticize. So yeah, you could say that, as Prabhupada states, an Uttama Adhikari, and as Rupa Goswami states, Uttama Adhikari doesn't criticize because they see that everyone is a devotee besides themselves. So they don't have anybody to criticize because everybody's already Krishna conscious. It's like you could say, a state of transcendental madness, pure emotion, Krishna conscious emotion. So, but we see that we accept as followers of ISKCON that Prabhupada was on the highest level, Uttamadhikari. But we see that he was criticizing sometimes people and things. For example, when Srila Prabhupada was in India, he had a big pandal, and he would talk every night to thousands of people. And sometimes, or often, he would indirectly criticize gurus in India, yogis, swamis. And these were well-known gurus and swamis and personalities. And a lot of the personalities he was criticizing happened to be gurus of the persons in the audience. So sometimes they would get mad at Prabhupada, and they would come up to him and say, "Oh, Swamiji, I really like you, and I really love your talks and everything, but why do you have to criticize?" And then Srila Prabhupada would say, "Well, I'm like Krishna's policeman. When I see a criminal, I blow the whistle. So, and he would say that, don't get mad at me. According to Krishna's descriptions, there are certain people who are rascals, or who are persons who should be criticized and they're cheating you. So that's why I am calling them out." That's what he would say. So, and he'd say, "Do you want them to cheat you? I'm just trying to help you. I'm the one actually trying to help you." So Srila Prabhupada would criticize, and there's so many different sayings, but one saying, and paraphrasing, is that if you have the heart to help someone, you could criticize them. So, but this criticism, it's a great art. It's not so easy to criticize someone. And as on one particular morning walk, Srila Prabhupada was walking with some of his disciples, and he was talking about this. He was saying, criticism is a great art. And he was saying, and then he stopped and he said, "But unfortunately, you do not know that art," told his disciples. So it's a great art, and if one wants to engage in it, there is scope for engaging in it. But it has to be done very carefully, and it has to come from a good place within us. So, for example, you could say a bad example is that one time there was this devotee, and I'm not sure who his name was, and even if I knew his name, I probably wouldn't say it, but he was very critical, very cynical of practically everyone. So he went up to Niranjana Swami and Bhajanarayan Swami in Mayapur, and he went up to the two swamis and he said, "Oh, all the sannyasis, and this problem, they're criticizing the sannyasis," and he would say, "Yeah, and all the householders, criticizing them, and the brahmacharis." And then he was criticizing cow protection service and child protection service, and the managers in Mayapur, managers in Vrindavan, and he practically went through every department of ISKCON and was criticizing them. And then Niranjana Swami, very calmly and mellow, right, very mellow personality, said, "I could see from your description that you are very expert in criticizing. And if you analyze your own heart, you will find sufficient subject matter. You'll find plenty of subject matter to criticize. So just focus on yourself." That's what he told this devotee. So this devotee, he went overboard. It was not coming from a good place. So we have to be careful that it's coming from a good place, and not coming from a bad place. But nonetheless, it's there, and specifically, it says that for a teacher can criticize their students. Like a teacher could find faults with their students. Why? Because the idea is to try to improve them, improve their character. So therefore, he could find faults. They could find faults. And Srila Prabhupada would say this sometimes to his disciples. He would say, please don't mind, I'm your spiritual master, and it's my business to find faults with you so you could advance. So a guru could find faults with their disciples or followers, and also while communicating with their followers or disciples, they can use, you could say, examples of personalities. In other words, they could criticize certain persons. And the idea is that, and they may even use a name, whatever the name may be, this name, that name, with the idea that for teaching purposes. So that's allowed. I guess it's yes. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So and then, but a lot of the times, people they tried to, you could say, they tried to artificially imitate an Uttama Adhikari, the most advanced devotee, and they say, okay, well, they associate with anyone and everyone closely, and they try to see, like, what I mean by artificially imitate is that an Uttama Adhikari sees God everywhere. There's not one, you could say, space in creation where God is not for Uttama Adhikari. So everything moving and non-moving, they see Krishna there. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, sporty, that Krishna's jumping out of these, everyone and everything. So Krishna conscious. So sometimes people try to imitate an Uttama Adhikari and they're not careful. They think, okay, well, I could see God everywhere, so I don't have to be careful associating loosely with with opposite sex, for example. Okay, I see God everywhere, so I could just associate loosely. And then people fall into immoral habits. People fall into immoral patterns of life. Immoral means they fall into exploitative mood, trying to enjoy and exploit people of this world, which Uttama Adhikari would never fall into. So we shouldn't try to artificially imitate an Uttama Adhikari, but Srila Prabhupada would advise that we operate on the platform of Madhyama Adhikari, which means Madhyam means middle, so the middle devotee. In a middle devotee, it's described here. I'll read it here. Ishvara taridineshu balisheshu dishasucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyama. The Madhyama Adhikari is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, highest object of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids those who are envious by nature. So Madhyama Adhikari gives all his worship to Krishna, makes friends with the devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids the envious. So Madhyama Adhikari engages his or her senses in the service of Krishna. Rishi kena sevanam bhakti uchate. Engage in the senses in the service of the master of the senses, Krishna. This purifies the senses. What's that? Nirmalam sarvapati vanir muktam patpadamena nirmalam rishikena rishikesh sevanam bhakti uchate. It's probably the same verse actually. But it says by engaging the senses, one becomes purified, and the upadis are destroyed. And what's this upadis? Upadi means I am Indian, I am American, I am Chinese, I am African, I am South African, I am this, I am that. I am a certain age, 50, 40, 30, 60, 80. these are all upadis. Just look at your driver's license. That's an upadi, right? Brown eyes, 5'11", 150 pounds. This is all upadis, which means they're material designations that aren't us. So by engaging the senses in the service of Krishna, those upadis are destroyed, which means our false ego is destroyed, which is important. Because by removing those upadis, we're able to experience who we really are, the soul, spirit, soul, and specifically a servant of Krishna. So Madhyamadikari engages in such a way as they realize that. And to some degree, the Madhyamadikari has realized that already. And then the Madhyamadikari makes friends with devotees. So, Tadati Pritigrannati Guyamaikati Prichati Bhunkte Bojate Chaiva Shadvidhim Pritilakshanam. So, 6 loving exchanges: giving gifts, offering, accepting gifts, revealing one's mind, inquiring confidentially, giving prasadam and accepting prasadam. These are the 6 loving exchanges. So those are important, and Srila Prabhupada said that he established ISKCON to facilitate these 6 loving exchanges. That's why he made ISKCON. So we should engage in those. If we're claiming to be members of ISKCON, or if we identify as members of ISKCON, or if we're aspiring to be members of ISKCON, then we should engage in those 6 loving exchanges with devotees. And then there's merciful to the ignorant. So you could say the mass of people are ignorant according to the Krishna conscious point of view, and that they do not know who they are, what's the goal of life, how to attain it, so they're ignorant. So the devotees are merciful, which means they give their association, they give their guidance, and they give, you could say, the conditioned souls who are ignorant, they give them the ability to become enlightened. So this is the mercy of a devotee. And then they avoid the envious. So there's many envious persons in the world, and specifically it's talking about people who are really envious, like excuse me, there's personalities like big atheists who write books about how God is dead or how God doesn't exist, things like that. Like Richard, what's his name? Dawkins? Yeah. And Sam Harris, so many atheists out there, which a lot of the times they attack Christianity. They don't touch Vaishnavism so much a lot of the time. But yeah, those personalities, in terms of we shouldn't make friends with them, do these 6 loving exchanges, nor can we be merciful to them, really, because if you try to be merciful to them, they don't accept it. So why do it? Actually, they become more offensive. So therefore, it's advised just to avoid them altogether. Persons who are really offensive. So that's a little bit about the Madhyama Adhikari. And then there's the Kanishta Adhikari, which the Kanishta Adhikari says is a person who doesn't know how to behave towards devotees or people in general. It's called a Prakriti Bhakta or Kanishta Adhikari. And they have faith in the temple and the deity, but they don't know how to treat devotees. So Srila Prabhupada wouldn't so much, everyone should become Uttamadhikari eventually, and that's the goal, you could say. But for this, you could say preaching work or teaching work or spreading of Krishna consciousness, Kanishta Adhikari is very difficult to spread Krishna consciousness, and Uttama Adhikari is so advanced, they think everybody's Krishna conscious already, so there's no need to spread Krishna consciousness. So Madhyama Adhikari is the one, which there's many Madhyama Adhikaris, who spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. So Prabhupada would advise that don't be a Kanishta that simply knows how to respect the deity and doesn't know how to respect devotees, which shows a sign of ignorance, because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that all of these living entities, they're my part and parcels. That's what Krishna says. So, in other words, everyone is intimately related to Krishna, so therefore one should not, one should learn how to respect them. One should learn how to respect them. And that's what it means to be Madhyama Adhikari, largely. So that's what Prabhupada is advising. And Prabhupada, within the purport, he goes on to explain that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered to be fallen, patita. According to his calculation, practically every one of us is fallen. But because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavan, the deliverer of the fallen. So, Srila Prabhupada said that his disciples and subsequent disciples, means disciples of his disciples, should chant at least 16 rounds a day. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, many people claim and say that he would have his disciples chant 64 rounds a day, which takes about 8 hours. It's a lot of chanting. So when Prabhupada came to America, he was telling devotees, you should chant 64 rounds a day. But then they were trying to do that, but it was like taking all day, and they weren't getting anything else done. Because you chant, maybe get a little tired, take a nap, take lunch, whatever, this and that. And because you're not so skilled at chanting, it takes longer than it should. Means around 108 beats should take about 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. But maybe someone's not familiar with chanting, they chant. Some devotees chant a little slower too, 10 minutes, but it's generally seen to be a little slow, 10 minutes. But you imagine if you have to chant 64 rounds, 15 minutes a round, it's a long time. So they had a hard time. And then Prabhupada, 48. And then difficulty, 32. Difficulty, all right, at least 16. You got to do at least 16. So that's what Prabhupada recommended, at least 16 rounds, which means we could do more, but the minimum should be 16. And that is one of the prerequisites to take an initiation from a spiritual master, that one chants 16 rounds. And if one could do this, then it actually, this chanting, it helps one become Krishna conscious. It helps one. It's not that it's like has no effect. The chanting does have effect. And whether someone does it properly or improperly, it has effect. Of course, if you do it properly, it'd have more effect. But we should never underestimate the glories of the holy name of Krishna. And therefore, whoever's listening to this, they should try to make it their way up to 16 rounds every day. Maybe some of you are chanting 1 round, 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 12 rounds, 14 rounds. But whatever the case is, okay, chant, increase. So you got 4 rounds, okay, go to 8, or go to 10, or go to 12. And eventually, over time, within hopefully not a long time period, you can make it to 16. And of course, people will say, I'm busy, I have a family, I have children, I have to work, I have to go grocery shopping, I have to go shopping, I have to do so many things to take care of my body, to take care of my house, to take care of my desires. I have to do so many things, so how can I chant 2 hours a day? Well, where there is a will, there is a way. If we pray to Krishna, and if we're determined, and if we really want, then we will be given the intelligence how to do that. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama upayanti te. That Krishna says that if one wants to come to me, if one wants to be Krishna conscious, then I will give them the ability to do that. I will give them intelligence to do that. So it's a matter of us increasing our desire. And if our desire is not very strong, then yeah, we may have so many reasons why we don't chant. But this is what Prabhupada recommended. If we want to make advancement, we should chant. At least 16 rounds a day. Some devotees who are householders, I've heard they've engaged, for example, the father would take care of the children, and then the mother would chant their rounds. And then the mother would take care of the children, and the father would chant their rounds. Or people exercise, right? Or people should exercise. Everybody should exercise. It's a healthy thing to do. Doctors recommend it. Take a walk, 30-minute walk. So when we take our walk around the neighborhood, we bring our bead bag. And we put our hand in our bead bag and grab those beads, and one by one we chant. We could take a walk and chant. Sometimes people want to chant. They think, oh, it's very difficult to chant by myself. My husband, he doesn't want to chant with me. One, maybe because he's taking care of the children so I could chant. But maybe he just doesn't want to chant with me at all. Maybe he's not interested in chanting. Or vice versa. Maybe my wife isn't interested in chanting. Someone say, oh, well, someone may say I have a wife and she's not interested in chanting, but I need someone to chant with. How am I supposed to do myself? I see you brahmacharis here. You're here every morning, and there's 10 of you, and you're all chanting together, and you got Dravida Prabhu there, and this person, that person. So easy for you to say. So therefore, devotees have created different venues by which they could chant together. Like, for example, on Facebook, which a lot of people have, probably a majority of people have throughout the world, or a large percentage of people have throughout the world, there has been a facility created by which one can chant with another person. And I don't think you could hear other people chant at the same time, but what it is, it's called Giri Raj Swami, Giriraj Swami, Japa Sangha. Sangha means association. So what it is Giriraj Swami every morning, without fail, he chants Hare Krishna on his beads, and he has a camera hooked up, Facebook Live. So he's there chanting, and devotees throughout the world, India, Africa, America, Europe, different places, they turn on Facebook Live, Giriraj Swami Japa Sangha, and they get to see him chant, and they get to hear him chant, and they get to chant with him. That's the idea. So you get to chant with the Swami, which pretty nice actually. And I can't think of anybody else in the world who's doing that at present besides him. I mean, maybe there's somebody else, but I don't. The first I've heard of it. So those of you who are out there, you may be thinking that I want somebody to chant with. My husband or wife can't chant for this reason, that reason, or whatever the case is. You want somebody to chant with. Then you can look on Facebook, Giriraj Swami Japa Sangha, and chant. And even if you do have people to chant with, your wife or your husband or your friends, you could still put on Japa Sangha. It still may help. So there's many, you could say, practical things we could do to advance. It's not something that should be difficult or mysterious. How do I advance in Krishna consciousness? Whatever attraction we have to Krishna consciousness should just be fanned like a fire. Fan the fire. So, for example, devotees like kirtan. So, okay, great. So find a kirtan leader who's a devotee. And he's a devotee or she's a devotee. It means they follow the regulative principles and chant 16 rounds and are initiated in the disciplic succession. And you can listen to them and find a melody that you like. Find a tune that you like, that you appreciate. Listen to it in the car, listen to it while you're cooking, listen to it while you're walking or whatever. So kirtans and lectures, talks, people like to hear. I mean, there's a world of podcasts out there, probably thousands of podcasts, and a lot of them are just nonsense, talking about the dualities of this world and upheavals of this world, and a lot of temporary flickering, you could say, events of this world. And so many there's so many things podcasts talk about. But we could find a podcast, or we could find a devotee, or we could find devotees who we like to listen to, who we feel inspired listening to, provided we should make sure that what they're saying is in line with Krishna consciousness. Not that, I like listening to this Swami or that Swami, and it's a bunch of rubbish or something. But Krishna conscious material, like truly Krishna conscious material. So kirtans and talks and japa sangha and different services we could do. Devotees do different services and make garlands for the deities, Krishna, worship deities at their home, do all types of nice things, decorations they make for their deities. Devotees cook all types of prasadam, offered to Krishna, offered to their family members and friends, distribute books, do Harinam, chanting out on the streets. There's so many, planting flowers for Krishna. Some devotees grow flowers at their homes, backyards, or fruits, and they bring them to the temple, offer them to Radha Giridhari, deities here. So there's many things that you could say we're already doing and that are practical, that if we do them in a Krishna conscious way, then we will advance very nicely. And lastly, this paragraph here, it says, the last paragraph of the purport says, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttamadhikari Vaishnav can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttamadhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as spiritual master. So, one should accept an Uttamadhikari as a spiritual master, means the most advanced devotee. And Prabhupada describes that Uttamadhikari. There's different definitions of Uttamadhikari, but one of the descriptions he gives of an Uttamadhikari is he says that that person who's very seriously engaged in the practice of Krishna consciousness and who is always thinking about how to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. He said that's an Uttamadhikari. I'm not sure, I forgot if he said in this purport or another purport, but he definitely says it. I remember that specifically. So and this is also another point, that one should accept a spiritual master. Within India, in traditional India, everyone had a spiritual master. even if there were whatever, this group, that group, Shaivites or Durga worshippers or Ganesh, everybody would have a guru. And this is an ancient tradition that one has a guru, one has a spiritual teacher, and one follows advice of the guru, one follows the advice of the spiritual teacher. So if someone hasn't accepted a guru, then they should think about that, and then they should try to accept one. There's many gurus, and they accept students, so one should accept one. Because there's sometimes this mood that, okay, well, I'm not going to really trust anybody. I'm not going to trust anybody. I don't think anybody's really that advanced. They're not advanced enough to be my guru. It's kind of puffed up. No one could be my guru because they're not advanced enough. It means that I'm pretty advanced. For some reason, there's this, it's a strange phenomenon going on in the world where sometimes people think, oh yeah, I don't need a guru, or I don't want a guru, or no one's advanced enough. But this is a misconception, because there are advanced personalities out there by Krishna's arrangement, and this is just Krishna's system. Tadvidhi panipatena paripashnena sevaya I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. Upadek shanti te jnanam ganinas tatvadarshana. That the self-realized souls, they have seen the truth, and because they have seen the truth, they can impart this to you, to us. And it says we should approach them with humility and a service attitude, service mood, and inquiring and serving them. So yeah, we should accept a guru, and if we already have accepted a guru, then the business isn't finished there. We have to continue day by day accepting the guru. Means, sometimes people are married for 50 years, 100 years, whatever, and they have such a thing. It's called like it's kind of like renewing your vows, or you have like an anniversary in which you're renewing your vows. So similarly, if we have accepted a guru, then okay, that's good. But every day is an opportunity to follow the instructions of the guru, and therefore it's a challenge to do that every single day. So we should renew that and do that regularly. Follow the instructions all the time, and not get into this mood of like, okay, well, I don't really need a guru, or I accepted a guru, but it's kind of too difficult to follow him. He's kind of, the demands are unreasonable. That's not a good consciousness to get into. Or this this idea again that no one could be qualified. It's not supported in Shastra, scripture. In the Bhagavatam, so many cases, so many personalities, they're all approaching gurus. They all have gurus, they all have teachers. And Krishna says throughout the Bhagavatam also that one should approach a guru. So it would be very strange if Krishna wanted us to do something and he didn't make arrangements for us to do it. Like, for example, it's or you could say if we have to do something, if Krishna's like insisting we do something, or he's created a situation in which, like for example, we have to eat, right? Now, Krishna has arranged there to be food, and luckily it tastes good. Hopefully, right? Generally, whatever food people take, they have a conception that it tastes good. And it nourishes us, and it doesn't get us sick, and so on. Now, if the injunction, or if we just by nature we needed food, but it was like throughout the whole entire world extremely difficult to get, and then once you got it, it didn't really nourish you that much, and most of the times it made you sick. In other words, it's just like completely illogical. It's like creating a body, or Krishna creating these human bodies, or creating this world, and not giving us facility to have what we need. Say it doesn't make sense. So similarly, Krishna advises us that we should have a guru. Now, it doesn't make sense for him to not make arrangements for that. Like, have a guru, have a guru, have a guru, have a guru. It says it so many times in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada mentions it all the time. But then there's just, Krishna makes no arrangement for it. Oh yeah, I want you to have a guru, but it just so happens in year 2020, there'll be no qualified gurus. What type of mercy is that? How can we say God is merciful? God's mercy has to manifest in him making arrangements for us to engage in the process that he set up. And the process that he set up is there's gurus and disciples. So therefore there has to be arrangement made by Krishna, logically. And Krishna is the most logical person, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in conclusion, there is need for criticism and Krishna consciousness, but we have to be careful that we're in a position to do it or that we're doing it properly. It's a science. And one should not imitate artificially the Uttamadhikari. One should not be a Kanishadhikari. One should be situated on the Madhyama platform in which they see others properly, Krishna and devotees and the envious and the ignorant or innocent, and know how to deal with them. And all of this can take place. One can make the proper advancement by taking shelter of the holy names of Krishna, by chanting 16 rounds, and engage in other devotional processes by which one's upadis or material designations are destroyed. And in all of this, you could say, is a system that Krishna put in place for the conditioned souls to become enlightened, spiritually enlightened. And part of that becoming enlightened is to accept a bona fide spiritual master, which I don't think anybody could logically argue that because it's stated everywhere within the Vedic scriptures. So, yes. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay.
Dakshamata would say, Hare Krishna, nice kirtan and darshan. Please accept my humble obeisances to you. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Nice topic. Thank you for the nice class. Can I chant with Shami on YouTube?
With who?
Can I chant with Sami? Do you like Sami?
Oh, yeah, on YouTube. I don't think he's because the Japa Sangha is specifically on Facebook every day, like live. And I don't think they're taking all of those Japa sessions and putting them on YouTube. I don't think so. Maybe they should do YouTube live. Might be good. I mean, he would have to get a YouTube channel, which I don't think he has, as far as I know. And then, because he's Giraj Swami, he'll probably immediately get a lot of subscribers. And then he'll be able to broadcast live the Japa Sangha, and then they'll all be there permanently. So he could probably do that, but as far as now, I don't think he's doing that. Yeah, it might be an open page or something.
One more devotee, Jitendra Mishra. He said, Jai Hare Krishna.
Who's that?
Jitendra Mishra.
Jitendra Mishra. Jai Hare Krishna. All right. Thank you. Jai Hare Krishna too. To you too. Is there any other questions or comments? Maybe because there's like a delay. Should we wait or no? Or you? Oh, really? Yeah. So, if anybody has any questions or comments, you could. What about you, Tapas? Do you have any question or comment?
I have a question that many times I criticize Mayavadis, thus thinking that I'm offending or doing proper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's a good question. Well, Tapas is saying that many times he criticizes Mayavadis, and he's wondering if he's doing it properly or not. Um, if he's being offensive or not. Well, I mean, Mayavadis are 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 offenders at the feet of Krishna. They say, "Oh, Krishna, he has no eyes, he has no nose, he has no mouth. He's not a person, right?" But we say Krishna is a person. So we say they're offenders, and Prabhupada himself would get quite angry with the Mayavadis. Like for example, he was in Japan, I believe, and he he went to there's some program that some Hindus set up in a hotel. So Prabhupada was there, and then there's another Swami there. There's a Mayavadi sannyasi Swami. So then Prabhupada gave a talk, and then the Mayavadi started to give a talk. This impersonalist, accepting God as impersonal. He was speaking in Hindi. So devotees didn't know what he was saying. But he saw Prabhupada, he started to get angry. And then at one particular point, Prabhupada told the devotees who were all there, there's a lot of Indians there, Hindus. They were thinking, oh, well, two Swamis will come, they'll both speak, and it's all one, it's all good. So then Prabhupada told the devotees, while this Swami was speaking, he told the devotees, have kirtan, chant. So then devotees were kind of like surprised, but they had to listen to Prabhupada. So they stood up, and with the kartals and the mridanga started chanting Hare Krishna. And everybody was looking around like, oh, what's going on? What's the deal? The Swami was probably offended, right? And then like years later, 20, 30 years later, these Indians were talking to Devamrita Swami because he would visit there. He was visiting there. And they go up to him and they say, oh, I saw your Swami 30 years ago. He did a very strange thing. He said another Swami was giving the talk, and he told everybody to have kirtan, and they're just shocked, 20 years later, they were still remembering it. So, but Prabhupada did that. And then there's a case where in the early days, Prabhupada was in New York, 26 Second Avenue, and he had some disciples there, and one of them was Keith Smith, I think, that he became Kirtanananda. But Prabhupada was giving a talk, and he was saying, we have to surrender to Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Keith, he gave a comment to Prabhupada, and he was saying, oh, Prabhupada, well, I read in this book and Buddhist book and Tao Te Ching book, Tao Te Ching book, and this book, that book, so many books, quoting so many philosophers and teachers, and the absolute is impersonal, and there's no form. When it says we should surrender to Krishna, it doesn't really mean Krishna. It means like the unborn within Krishna, and he's quoting so many different sources. And then Prabhupada said, are you done yet? And then Keith kept on going, talking. Prabhupada said, are you done yet? And he kept on talking. And then eventually he ran out of steam. Keith ran out of steam. So then Prabhupada, he stood very straight up, and then he shouted, and he said, no, it's Krishna. It's Krishna. It's Krishna you surrender to, not the unborn within Krishna. And then he stood up, and then he left. And then all the devotees, they're all shocked. They're all looking at Keith like, oh, you made a bad mistake there. So they said that the whole storefront was shaking. Prabhupada was so angry, and he became like Nrsingadev, lion, half lion, half man, incarnation of Krishna. So naturally, when a loved one is offended, then we become angry. So the Mayavadis are offenders. So we may become angry, and we may criticize. But yeah, we want to be careful that it's we'd say Krishna conscious. But there is justification for that. I mean, Prabhupada would do it, and justification for it. Although Prabhupada, when devotees would see a Mayavadi sannyasi, which sannyasi is one who has renounced this world, like they say, the sannyasi is like socially dead. When you see a Mayavadi sannyasi, Prabhupada told the devotees that you could bow down, that you should bow down, because it's a principle of renunciation. But we don't associate closely. So.
There is one more comment, a question from Lakshmana.
Okay.
She's asking, even though we are not chanting 16 rounds, can we still take shelter of Guru? Even though we are not following, can you talk about it?
So if we're not chanting 16 rounds, can we still take shelter of Guru? Well, to some degree we can, because you can say Krishna consciousness is gradual. We gradually increase the practices to the degree that we need to, minimum amount that we need to. And it's not that Krishna just says, oh, well, if you can't take to this process completely, you should just give it up. He says that you could engage in it, even to a smaller degree. So that's there. And you could say we could take shelter of the Guru to some degree, but ultimately, if we really want to take shelter of the Guru, it means taking shelter of his instructions, which means taking shelter of Krishna's instructions, which is the Sankirtan Yajna, to engage in chanting the holy name. That's the process for this age. So ultimately we should. Excuse me. But in the meantime, if we can't, then we shouldn't be depressed. We should do what we can. But we have to be careful that we're actually doing what we can. Because a lot of times we may think we're able to do only a certain amount, but we could do a lot more. So it's like we're limiting ourselves. So that has to be thought of too. So. No more comment? I thought she had another comment, no?
That's not, I think her question was, even though we are not chanting 16 rounds, can you still take shelter of Guru?
Okay.
And even though we are not following shelter of
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Rupa Goswami. The Nectar of Instruction.